We have the ability to wander around and look at things. If we wanted to look through the aircraft, we could actually bend down and look out the wing itself. But what this is made for is to be able to see the systems in action. So whenever we bring up the menu, we bring up an iPad, touching it here, bring up an iPad, we can actually turn the light on over the seat. So we'd select that seat, turn the light on, and then whenever you touch the button, you can see the light that turned on over the seat. So each time I touch this button, again, I'm using my hand with nothing in it, I just touch the button, just reaching out and touching the image itself. But if we wanted to see what avionics are involved inside of this, what we have to do is turn on Discover. And then when we turn Discover on and do the same action, now when we do the same action, we would actually just turn this light on over this seat, and then whenever I move this out of the way, we'll watch the image, we'll watch the signal start flowing through the different avionics. So as we're standing right here, we can see the signal beginning to run down the side of the aircraft, and it hits the top here, goes over the top, goes to the other side, goes to each one of these components, and then it becomes a wireless signal, then it becomes a DC signal, then it turns the light on above the seat. So if we wanted to see that in schematic form, whenever we look at this right here, the schematic, this is the schematic of that same process. So if we touch the button on the device right here, the first object it touches is this one, then this one, then this one, this one, this one, and then it touches the one on the other side, touches this one, becomes a wireless signal, and then turns DC on at the light itself. But if we were looking at the schematic and said, where is this object right here, all I have to do is hold my hand on that schematic, and it launches me inside the aircraft, and it says, this is one of the objects that actually was used inside of this signal sequence. So we do that with any of the objects inside of here, just by looking at it from that perspective. So if I turn on the schematic again and I said, here's where the DC power comes from, if I just touch that component right there, it launches me to the front of the aircraft, and it shows me that it's mounted in the floor down here. So whenever we look at this, it tells you that it's an intelligent DC power controller, and lets you look at it and understand it. And you can put it back inside the floor. So as you look through the aircraft, it allows you to navigate through the entire aircraft and understand what's going on from an electronics perspective. So whenever I turn that light on, we can see that signal from anywhere inside the aircraft. So if I walk to the back of the aircraft, we can see there's a signal that started in the back there. And if I walk to the back and then turn towards the front, we can now see that signal going across the ceiling, going to different components, becoming a wireless signal, becoming a DC light, and lighting up the chair that exists right here. So we're able to see that just by standing inside the aircraft. So if I wanted to back up, I could actually back up through the aircraft and see the entire signal structure inside the aircraft as to where it came from. So whenever I first touched the button itself, the iPad was communicating with an object inside the aircraft. So whenever I touch the button, you can see this dotted line that exists right here is talking to an object way back there in the back of the aircraft. So if we go back there, we can see that the very first object that's being communicated with is all the way in the back here. If we wanted to know the name of that object, we could bring up the schematic and see that that is called, let me touch that side, that's called a cabin server 1. There's a cabin server 2 that's redundant, so this shows us the components that are inside of it. So again, if I touched any of these objects, if I touched that one, it would take me inside the aircraft to exactly where that object exists, which is the GCMS controller. So if I move my iPad out of the way, this is one of the objects that's activated inside of this topology. So this gives you a clear insight as to what's being communicated inside of the aircraft. So this could be done with hydraulics, pneumatics, electrics, it doesn't matter what it is. Each one of these principles could be actively involved inside of a unique or complex system such as a tractor, a combine, any of those types of objects could be enabled just like this.